Seb Brown, good to be catching up with you again. A sad day from a Wimbledon perspective. You've an announcement to make. Tell us about it.
Yeah, a little bit of a disappointing day from that side of things, but I am actually going to be moving on from my role in the academy here, which, as I say, is a little bit disappointing. But it is a new. I've been presented with a new opportunity elsewhere that, at the moment, with the situation and stuff, is just too good for me to turn down, unfortunately. But it is with a heavy heart that I'm doing so, because obviously everyone knows what this club's sort of done for me and what it means to me, and now that's extended from when I was playing now down to the responsibility I feel with working with the younger goalies, and giving them the opportunity to try and reach the same level and the same heights that I did.
Ironically, you're not going to be moving on too far though, are you?
No, I just couldn't bear to leave Kings Meadow, so I'm actually going to be moving on to a role with the Chelsea Women's Academy team, so the WSL Academy team, working with their goalkeepers and their staff, to sort of to kind of bed into that and get a bit of a different perspective on the game as well. Obviously, I've had a little bit of experience within the women's game, but I think this will give me a really good chance to sort of see it in real depth from one of the top clubs in the women's side of the sport, which is great for me. I'm obviously lucky and privileged that they've sort of looked quite kindly on my experience of playing and of coaching now, and saw me as the right person to come in and do that work with them. So yeah, I won't be going too far, but it's just a shame everyone else will be somewhere else, which is good news for everyone at Wimbledon as well.
Absolutely. Of course, you're involved with Sutton United as well, so I suppose something in the schedule had to kind of give, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those, especially with, it's still technically a part-time role, but as I always say, when I moved into coaching, what you end up doing before you get that coveted full-time role is you end up building a bit of a jigsaw of part-time roles that allow you to kind of get the right levels of experience and obviously the right sort of financial package to justify being a full-time coach, if that's what you want to call it. And yeah, obviously with the schedule that the WSL Academy girls keep at Chelsea, it's evening training, which obviously conflicts with what I do at Wimbledon, which means that we're in this position doing this interview, really.
But of course, you're only 30. You're a sports science graduate from Roehampton as well. You've achieved so much with your own career so far as well, of working with people here. So it's, you're moving on to things. You've got to be ambitious, I suppose, haven't you?
Yeah, I think, as I say, with everything going on, it's a difficult one to turn down, really. The chance to go and sort of work in that level of the sport on the women's side is a great opportunity. Obviously, they've won everything there is to win pretty much in the women's side of the game. Obviously the WSL Academy is the same expectation, so I'm not expecting it to be any different than when our boys go out and expect to play the Wimbledon way. So it's just seeing it from a different lens and getting to work with different people and learn from different people, and hopefully develop yourself as a coach. And obviously, like you say, I've sort of started quite early with the coaching side of stuff, which once sort of my time in the Football League and in the National League and stuff was done, I think that was always something that was in my head to try and get a bit of a head start on the coaching side of things. And I think, like I say, that's sort of starting to pay a bit of dividends now. Obviously, I'm still relatively young. I still get you should still be playing shout, but then they don't see me when I've dived around in training at Sutton for the morning and can't walk for the next 2 days. But no, as I say, it's an opportunity that will be another learning development sort of point for me in my relatively short coaching career so far. But yeah, it's just one of those. We see where it goes, and hopefully it leads to more experiences, more different sort of people to work with, as obviously different sort of gender to work with as well. So I'm looking forward to the challenges and stuff that will bring. But yeah, no, I'm excited, but at the same time, obviously quite disappointed that we couldn't get to the point that we were looking to get to following our meeting to rearrange everything in the summer, which was probably one of the things that was most sort of disappointing for me personally, but as you say, it's one of those things, unfortunately.
How do you feel about leaving this club that you've got a strong affiliation to, the staff that you've worked with, that you've learned from, and in particular these supporters as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've hit every group on the head there. I mean, really, the fact that I had the opportunity to work within sort of an EPPP academy as early as I did in my coaching career was thanks to like Mike, obviously Jeremy before him, Jordan, taking a bit of a, what do you call it, a calculated risk, but a little bit of a chance on bringing me in to sort of learn on the job. So obviously got my qualifications all up to date whilst I was working, which obviously is difficult to do elsewhere. So I'll be grateful sort of to them for that. Yeah, I mean, just literally there is probably too many people to mention, but getting to learn from people like Bezo, Geordie, who've been coaching longer than I have, was good for me, and it gave me a chance to kind of grow as I went along. And obviously the plan was that was going to then culminate in sort of heading up things this year in terms of the lead sort of youth phase stuff. And as I say, we'd had some really good sort of meetings over lockdown and stuff to kind of go through how we saw that growing. And I think, as I say, my aim in the next sort of month's time or 3 weeks' time is to make sure that's all carried through, so that when I'm not here, Mike and Ant have got pretty much a schedule or programme of how we think, what we've been doing so far and how we think that can kind of be even better, really. But yeah, I mean, the supporters, I mean, you see how much interest they take in the youth team and the academy and stuff like that. I think some of the gates at the FA Youth Cup games and people travelling up to like Sheffield United with the boys and stuff like that just shows how much the academy side of things means to Wimbledon supporters. And as I say, I remember the same thing when I was little, looking now in the page in the programme that sort of says, oh, the under-18s played this team this Saturday, and you go, oh yeah, one day like that'll be me. And as I say, that is hopefully what we can now inspire in some of the younger boys. And I think that when you come down and you watch I mean, obviously at the moment it's difficult because there's a lot of protocols in place for limiting people to viewing different games from different situations and stuff. But if once this is hopefully all settled down, you're able to come and watch an under-18s game or come and watch how the academy work, you actually see how much the boys do buy into being a Wimbledon player, even at the younger age groups, and like 10, 11-year-old boys that are sort of proud to wear the shirt when they're playing against, so they play Gillingham on the weekend, so they're coming up against Gillingham and they're proud to sort of put in a Wimbledon performance, and that's a big part of obviously what Mike and Rob and James and Jack and all of the sort of lead coaches actually do to put in their programme, is make them sort of aware of what it means to play for Wimbledon. So I think that's going to be the biggest group. I think that'll it'll be a little bit of a sadness to not work with is obviously the young goalies that we've been working with, because a lot of them have been at the club longer than I have in my coaching capacity. So I've seen them when I first came in, and now I'm seeing them who might have been like an under 10 when I came in, now getting to their like under 14, under 15 years, where they're starting to be at the end, where now they're really pushing for a scholarship, which is obviously a tough time for them. But at the same time, we'd like to think we'd given them the tools that they needed to kind of achieve what they want to achieve, and I think that will be the biggest trying to think of the right way to put it, but the biggest lump in my throat, I think, will be when I'm saying goodbye to the boys and the parents and stuff like that, because obviously they're what we're here for, they're what we do it for, is for the boys to get to achieve what they want to achieve in the game.
How much do you think that the level and the standard of goalkeepers that we've got, the young goalkeepers we've got now, has improved in the time that you've been doing this?
Oh, I mean, I think the processes and stuff that we go through, not just from a coaching side but from a recruitment side and stuff like that, is infinitely better. I mean, obviously we've always punched above our weight in terms of goalkeepers, which is quite a nice record to have. I mean, when you go up, and so when I was on my goalkeeping B licence a couple of seasons back, you get that little bit of recognition where all the FA staff and stuff are talking to you about, oh, well, yeah, he did really well in our camp, or you sent him up, didn't you? And we were like, yeah. So it's nice to have a little bit of recognition, especially like as I say, punching above our weight in terms of the facilities and the stuff that we have compared to to some of the Category 1 and Category 2 academies. So it's, as I say, it's nice to get a little bit of recognition from that. But in terms of the structure and stuff, I mean, like I say, we've put in place a few different things this year, but it's not taking away the fundamentals that's got us to where we've been so successful so far. So I think it is a little bit disappointing that I'm not here to see those things pushed through, but I've got no doubt that with Mike in place and with Anthony and all of the staff within the academy side of things from a football perspective, that they'll carry them through, and hopefully whoever comes into the goalkeeping department will put their own spin on it and hopefully have the same results that we've had as a department as a whole, and that includes obviously Andy at the start and Geordie before that and stuff like that, and Bezo and the stuff that he does with the scholars, and hopefully carry on that sort of tradition of creating or building or developing or whatever you want to call it, those goalkeepers from what is quite a modest set of facilities and stuff like that. So yeah, no, I think we've got a lot of stuff in the right place. It's now just a bit like anything, you're always looking for that extra sort of 1%, 2% to try and make things even better, and I think there's still scope to do that. I don't think we've by any shadow of a doubt maxed out on what we can achieve with a goalkeeping side here. And as I say, I'll be leaving my thoughts with Mike and Ant to kind of build on that when they do replace me. So.